Hello and welcome back to Medium Rare, everyone. My name is Rag Reynolds, and today we do have 4 stories to talk about. But before we get into any of that, I do want to encourage you to check out my social media, links in the description down below. Also check out my Patreon if you feel like supporting the channel, and also my Twitch. And as a final thing, before we get into today's stories, I would like to give a huge thanks to Creepshow Art. Now, Creepshow Art is a fantastic YouTuber who allowed me to star with her on her channel yesterday to do a video about Realstream News, a guy who I have covered extensively on this channel and also on my old YouTube channel as well. She was very kind as to let me be part of that video, and I do encourage you all to check it out, and I will link to it in the description down below. And with that said, let's move right in to our first story for today. We are all going to die. Okay, maybe not all of us, probably not, but it is concerning when you think about it that in the 1820s there was a kind of plague. In the 1920s there was a kind of plague. And now in the 2020s, the Wuhan Coronavirus is sweeping across the world. If history is anything to go by, then you can count me out. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese coronavirus is spreading. The death count is now up in the 20s, and hundreds of people have been reported as being infected, and not just in China anymore. It has spread all over. There are cases in the US and even Japan and many other places. This thing is actually terrifying. I have read tweets, I've read reports of people who have basically just been having their lungs pumped because they're filling up with water. I mean, this thing causes pneumonia, it causes kidney failure. This thing is terrifying. It causes you to basically wither away and die. Currently, the only real information we have on where this is coming from is that it may be from bats and or snakes. You see, the Wuhan originating coronavirus shares a strain of virus that is often found in bats. And in the wild, snakes often hunt bats for food. And it was found that in the Wuhan seafood market, they were selling snakes. So there is a theory that the snakes were eating the bats who had this virus, and then people ate the snakes and they got the virus. However, to make things worse, absolutely worse and absolutely disgusting, and I hate the fact that I need to look at this image again just to show you it, we are now seeing reports that in the Wuhan seafood market, people were eating and being sold bat soup. This is terrifying. I don't want to look at it, but I'm showing you on screen. I'm going to have to look at it when I edit this, and it's horrible. Honestly, this makes me feel like I'm dying already just looking at this. Oh my lord. You know what? As far as my opinion goes here, if this is the case, if this virus comes from eating bats, then you know what? We deserve to die. We deserve the virus if it's from eating bat soup, because how insane are human beings? Eating, oh my, I'm not looking at that picture anymore. Let me know what you think about this in those comments down below. I, for one, am ready for death. And our next story today is a bit of a warning. It is a concerning story about someone known as Nora the Wolf. Now, if you haven't heard about Nora the Wolf, here you go. Nora the Wolf is actually a 24-year-old man who is posing on social media as a 16-year-old female. They run a furry art account on Instagram. And now there have been many proven instances of Nora the Wolf contacting minors, asking for nude images and being entirely sexual with these minors in direct messages. And to make things even worse, Nora the Wolf has also been caught doxing and blackmailing said minors. Now, I'm not going to show these screenshots of conversations and stuff on my video, but I am going to leave a link to a dreaded DeviantArt. I can't believe I'm leaving a link to DeviantArt. Yuck, absolute But I am leaving a link to DeviantArt in the description down below. You can click on that and you can see the evidence. You can see a bunch of different screenshots from a bunch of different conversations with a bunch of different people that clearly points out a pattern of behavior that is very problematic and predatory. But just so you can see what kind of person Nora the Wolf actually is, I do want to quickly touch on a situation with YouTuber Noni. This YouTuber Noni had made a video about Nora the Wolf, and afterwards Nora the Wolf had got in contact via Instagram, and you can see on screen here some of these screenshots of this conversation. You can see here the very first thing that was even said was, "Noni, how is your mom today?" And later they said, I think I will draw your mother dead. Would you like that? They then later say, I will draw myself R-ing them. Obviously, these screenshots show you the kind of person we're talking about here. At this moment in time, it does appear that Nora The Wolf has been banned from Twitter. Now, as far as Instagram goes, I'm not sure if they've been banned or just changed their account name, because I have been unable to find the account anymore. Anyway, obviously, this is a very concerning situation, and we need to do all that we can to expose horrible, predatory people like this, and we need to do what we can to stop them. Let me know what you think about all this in those comments down below. And now our next story today is something I've been covering for a little bit, and this is in relation to Vincent Nicotra and Chris Hansen. Now, we're not specifically talking about Chris Hansen's Onision investigation today, but rather we're talking about the whole situation surrounding Vincent Nicotra's recent actions and people who were losing faith in both Chris Hansen and Vincent Nicotra. Now, obviously, I have covered this in a few videos before, so if you really want to get up to speed, I do encourage you to go watch those. But essentially, people were losing faith in both Chris and Vincent because Vincent had been out there. He was essentially doxing people. He had been filing false copyright claims against other YouTube channels that were criticizing him, and he was just all around being very unprofessional, especially on social media. People were upset with Chris Hansen because it appeared that Chris was essentially just turning a blind eye to all of this. However, that is no more, because Vincent Nicotra has been fired from his position. A couple of days ago, we saw the Chris Hansen moderating team, who moderate his live streams and all that stuff. They came out with a unified statement, posting all over social media, condemning the actions of Vincent Nicotra. Later on, Chris Hansen then came out announcing that he had fired Vincent Nicotra from his position, and that Vincent Nicotra would no longer be involved with any of the Onision investigation. Now, obviously, that is a big step, as Vincent is the guy who ran the streams for Chris Hansen before. He dealt with victims directly. If anyone wanted to get on Chris Hansen's show, they would have to go through Vincent first. Then yesterday, on Chris Hansen's latest episode of his Have a Seat with Chris Hansen show, he went further into some of the details about why he fired Vincent Nicotra. Chris specifically gave a little bit more information on what was a very concerning situation where Vincent had told Sarah, who is one of the alleged victims of Onision and his spouse Kai, that her laptop that she had sent to them that apparently had evidence of certain things that were inappropriate happening between her and Kai. Well, Vincent had said to Sarah that this laptop that she had sent in was going to be sent to the FBI, and he had essentially told her and made her think, along with many other people, that the FBI were in possession of said laptop. However, in reality, the FBI never got the laptop, and in fact, it had been sitting in Vincent's apartment for months. So obviously, people were not very happy about this.
I have fired my web producer, Vincent Nicotra. He had been saying and doing things that had become a sideshow to this very important investigation into Onision. So one of the victims, Sarah, had a laptop and a cell phone, and we were told that they might have pictures and some text back and forth that were relevant to the investigation. When we became aware that there might be material on the computer and the laptop, I contacted the FBI. The discussion went from the Michigan office to the Seattle, Washington office, and then we were told that somebody from the New York office, field office, would contact us. That didn't happen before the holidays. We've reached out again. In the course of all this, Vincent apparently said that the FBI already had the laptop, which is not true.
After all this, Vincent did speak to a reporter to give a statement on his side of things here. Vincent, in this statement, was seemingly not too happy and was kind of throwing Chris Hansen under the bus as well. As you can see here, Vincent said he was not paid a single dollar and racked up thousands of dollars in credit card debt to pay for servers for the Hansen v Predator website. Chris put none of his money into the channel or website. Now, this is actually demonstrably false, and I know this is false because Vince actually used SiteGround's managed WordPress hosting packages, and it is worth noting that the packages on SiteGrounds for a WordPress website, such as the one that Vincent was running for Chris, only cost you between around $4 and $12 per month. So obviously Vince is talking out of his ass about all this thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It's also worth mentioning that as payment, yes, he was not paid any money, but Vincent did get to advertise his websites and his brand through all of Chris Hansen's different avenues during this Onision investigation. That is what his payment essentially was in all this. I also think it's silly because when Vincent signed up, he knew what he was signing up for. He knew he wasn't being paid money for what he was doing. So to now come out and make a whole big deal about, oh, I wasn't paid for this, that is just ridiculous if you ask me. Vincent also expressed some frustration over the laptop incident. He said that Chris knew he had the laptop for over a month, but he did nothing. He did not even try to get it or to get it to the FBI. Vince shared some screenshots to back up his claims, although I cannot confirm how legit these are or if he had doctored them. Overall here, I do think it is a good step that has been made that Vincent has been fired. I mean, I said this in my very first video on this situation. I said, Vince has got to go. He is destroying the credibility of this investigation. Vince is not a good person to have here. So I do think it's good that he's gone. However, does that address everything here? I don't know. There are still people who are detractors. There are people who think this is too little too late. There are a lot of people who think if the Hansen moderators hadn't put out their statement, would Vincent have been fired? It seems to some people as though Hansen only did what he did because he was given an ultimatum. People are still very, very conscious of the fact that Chris had been turning a blind eye to Vincent's actions for quite a while. As far as my opinion specifically, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say, okay, Vince is gone and let's start anew. Let's start fresh and see where things go from here. I'm going to give Chris the benefit of the doubt, although maybe I will come to regret that in the future. I hope not. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in those comments down below. And the final thing we're talking about today, folks, is Jessica Yaniv, aka Jonathan Yaniv, was arrested. So if you're not aware, the last time I spoke about Yaniv was when Yaniv had just assaulted a reporter outside of a courthouse. Now, I would show that video clip again, but the last time I showed it, even though it's just a very short clip, and it was clearly fair use if you ask me, I was copy claimed, and then my appeal was also denied. Thanks a lot, Rebel Media. Anyway, Yaniv actually got arrested this week for that incident and spent a little bit of time behind bars. Yaniv was released a little bit later, but Yaniv will appear in court in February to answer for these charges. Yaniv faces up to 5 years in prison for the assault. Yaniv also has additional court dates in February for 2 prohibited weapon charges. But that's not all, folks. Jessica Yaniv is also seemingly being sued. The person suing Yaniv is Amy Eileen Ham. Ham is someone that Yaniv had accused of sexually assaulting Yaniv earlier this month. This letter from Ham's lawyer to Yaniv was released on Twitter in the last 24 hours. And here you can see we are counsel for Amy Eileen Ham in the above captioned matter. You publicly slandered and defamed Ms. Ham on January 15th, 2020, accusing her on Twitter of having sexually assaulted you in a courthouse bathroom on January 13th. This allegation is completely unfounded, false, and a gross mendacity. On January 16th, you compounded your defamation with the contention that you had been viciously sexually assaulted by Ms. Ham, and that you had sought the services of an R-Crisis Center. Ms. Ham did not R you, sexually assault you, touch you, or harm you in any way in the bathroom or any other time or place. Ms. Ham has publicly denounced your aggressive and malicious accusations, but you have continued to defame her. This goes on until eventually it gets to the point where it says, we hereby demand a public apology and immediate retraction of your defamation. Specifically, we demand you immediately retract and publicly apologize for your false accusation that Ms. Ham sexually assaulted you, viciously or otherwise. Further harassment of Ms. Ham will be met with immediate legal action. Govern yourself accordingly. So a lawsuit hasn't quite been filed yet. The suing hasn't quite started, but they're getting there. They're ready. This is essentially like a cease and desist. They're telling Yaniv, apologize, retract what you said now, or else we will be suing. Anyway, I just get very happy reading all this because it is a great day when undesirables like Yaniv are having a hard time and are brought to justice. Let me know what you think about this in those comments down below. And that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you have anything you'd like to say about any of the subjects we spoke about today, then please let me know in those comments down below. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications if you haven't already, and also check out all of my links in the description down below. And until next time, everyone, my name is Rag Reynolds, and this was Medium Rare.